Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you doing today?
Good. Doing good.
Alhamdulillah. Well, you know why we're here. Want to find out more about Hamza and the man who creates the art and the prolific writings.
Thank you.
Do you have anything that you want to open up with to start off? Anything you want to say?
I know we've discussed this before, and I've said it's always nice when people hold your work in high regard, but it makes me so uncomfortable. I don't look at it that way. So yeah, it just makes me feel. I'm not Picasso or anything. I'm not Emery Douglas or Naji Ali. People I kind of been inspired by through revolutionary art. Those individuals. So, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Okay, so when you were a child, were you interested in art? Did you have a special inclination towards artistic expression, or is this something that just came upon you?
Always like sketching and that kind of thing. And I was fortunate that way because a long while ago when I was young in my childhood, my parents kind of supported that. They didn't really mind me drawing whatever, and so sketching was my main thing. I like to sketch, and it's probably why when I was at the time of thinking about going to university, I picked certain subjects that would lead me into university, and design subjects, which is why I did architecture.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I've had that support all along from my childhood. My grandfather, in particular, he would take me to the park or whatever, and I used to take my sketchbook, and sketch, climbing frames, anything.
Really. Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
What was the first thing you can remember sketching when you were with your grandfather?
First thing, that's a tough one. I've got goldfish memory, so probably some animal or dog or a cat, something like that. It wasn't great, but the cool thing was almost like a wire sketch. I never liked using color when I was young, and probably still don't. I think something about black and white image is far more powerful for me. Even when it comes to photography, when I see photography, I think the same thing. If it's black and white or grayscale, it seems so more real. Strange. So yeah, it's a cat. Probably a cat.
Okay. Do you still have them? Your sketches from when you were young? No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I don't.
So, what inspired you to get back into creating art?
Well, it's unusual because this project I started officially 5 years when I got my first piece together, but it's in the making for 12 years. I've had this name into Farder Street probably 12 years back now. I used to kind of, even whilst I was at work in a dead-end job in customer service, I used to, even whilst taking calls or whatever, I used to just sketch and whatever on my desk. And the name came up then, and I've always been like that, I'm a scribbler, like using scrap paper and whatever I could find, just thoughts, ideas, concepts, just brainstorming, general brainstorming. So I kind of initiated the idea way back then. And it's just come into evacuation, last 5-6 years. Basically, when I came back from Gaza, I was out of a job. I had like 13 months when I was unemployed. So, and it actually gave me time to do something. And thankfully, I've used that time well. But it was really time consuming. And even now, when I look back at my initial work and what I do now, you could see the development and how much better I've got at it.
Yeah.
But it's all self-learned. It's not, no one's ever taught me how to do it. So develop my own style that way. I suppose it's a good thing.
Yeah. Mashallah. Can you remember what the inspiration was for your first revolutionary piece of artwork?
Palestine.
Yeah.
Palestine. It's always, and it's just the resistance, and it's in many folds, right? But Palestine's always been an idea and a big idea of that for me. So, and it goes beyond boundaries or race or religion, all these things that are used to separate us. So, and it's the struggle that kind of I grew up with in many ways. I remember in the early 80s when the war in Lebanon was taking place, and watching the TV, seeing my father cry, watching the TV, or when Libya got bombed way back then by Ronald Reagan and all this kind of stuff. My dad's English wasn't great, but obviously pictures, you can see pictures, right? They tell a story in itself. And watching him react has obviously left a kind of imprint in me. I was always interested, and those sort of feelings I didn't understand then, but as I grew older, I actively, tried to educate myself and learn about the historical sort of aspect of what's happened, and how this kind of hotspot's been created. So yeah, it's definitely Palestine was the initial sort of thing, but it opened my eyes to so many different things in my teenage years. I remember reading the Malcolm X autobiography and really kind of connecting with his story. So powerful. And up until the last few years, any of my friends, whenever they had a birthday or not even friends, associates, people are kind of I see a bit of connection with on their birthdays. I've always given them a autobiography of Malcolm X.
It's one of the best gifts.
A must, one of the 5 must books you must have, religious otherwise.
So you were talking about the Malcolm X autobiography in regards to your first pieces that you created. Do you remember what your emotional feelings were while you were creating your very first piece?
I'm quite an intense person as it is, so I have to be quite disconnected when I'm actually doing the artwork. When it's completed, I might kind of project a certain feeling inside me. That's a tough question. In the sense that I've never, when I'm in the process of doing it, then I'm kind of emotionally not connected with that side of it. But when I'm brainstorming and the process prior to actually putting it onto a graphical art piece, then during that stage, then I'm very much emotionally connected, and I'm always looking for inspiration, and inspiration comes from the struggles of people, their stories, past and present, and I'm sure that's the way it's going to be for a long time in the future as well. As long as I'm inspired. I mean, originally when I started, it was like no word of a lie, it was like a therapy for me, because I didn't know any way, because I'm quite an active person. I wanted to do something practical to help, and of course, when you're out of a job, you have no financial backing to do those things.
Correct.
So I was kind of stuck, and it was getting very frustrating to just be thinking about these issues and feeling so helpless at the same time.
Uh-huh.
I had to find a different avenue, a different outlet to be able to express, in many ways, just how I feel about what's happening. Um, my dream is always has been. I would love for a situation to occur where uh, those people, especially children, in those circumstances, could have their own story. So it doesn't require someone like me sitting in the comforts of my armchair in a Western
Mhm.
country, uh,
Exactly.
not being too worried about any sort of oppression on me,
Mhm.
um, trying to tell their story. Um, so I'm almost like, in effect, even though I've been there, I'm that outside looking in, and it makes me feel cowardice that way. This is the best I could do.
Mm.
So